This is Kits and Wagers. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Chris Owen. We're talking Game Week 11 in the Premier League. Chris, we hit back-to-back parlays on the show. We hit a parlay. Our parlays are now plus money. Congrats to Chris. Congrats to me. What's up, Chris?
Hey Adam, good to chat with you once again this week. Coming off a parlay win, our individual bets needed a little bit of work. We were right on the precipice of victory there, but we hit our parlay. We had a couple celebratory messages. You know, you love when you hit. I think what was it like plus 200 something, and to bring us back even. Actually, not even bring us back to positive for the season. So, yeah, overall, individually, maybe left a little bit out on the field, but overall, as a team here, we came home victorious.
Exactly. It was, I think, the first time this season that I did not have a winning record from our three bets, but we hit the parlay, so I think that helped pull us through there. But we have a pretty fun weekend of matches. We got the Manchester City at Liverpool. That's the biggest game here. Looking at our cheat sheet, rotowire.com/soccer trial. You can get this cheat sheet, but the only match with an implied total over 3 is this Manchester City Liverpool match. 3.33 implied total. No other match is above 3, so I guess a defensive weekend. Tottenham the biggest favorite, Arsenal at Leeds. And then you got Wolves, who I don't even know if Wolves have a win this season, but they're the third biggest favorite on the for game week 11. But as you can see on the bottom, if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, we are talking about 3 matches. And first up is Fulham against Bournemouth. As I scroll through the new pages, it's taking me a little bit of time here to get here, but we're gonna find it. Fulham against many clicks here, but Fulham are favored.
Come on, Adam,
Fulham are favored at
tighten,
minus
tighten
one
it up.
minus 115 to win. They were minus 135 about a week and a half ago. As you can see on the line movement, Bournemouth are sitting at plus 320, and the draw is actually favored over Bournemouth to win. Draw is plus 270, and then over 2.5 goals is minus 115, under 2.5 goals, minus 105. So what do we got for this one? This is a battle between two newly promoted sides, and both their games last season 1-1, 1-1. What do you got for this one?
Yeah, really interesting to see. I guess Fulham's at home here, so they're pretty heavily favored. But like, it feels like they're more favored than they should be, sitting at minus 115. Like I felt like this could have been like a minus or a plus 150 plus like 190 type of deal for Bournemouth. So I was surprised to see Fulham so heavily favored. And on the other side of it, more or less because Bournemouth has actually been playing well. They're on their this will be their 5th match since they sacked Scott Parker following the 9-0 loss. But since then, they haven't lost a match. You know, I think they've drawn 2, they've won 2, so they're playing really well. They had a come from behind victory last weekend against Leicester City. Leicester City went up 1-0 in the first 10 minutes. And they came back and they scored 2 goals there to get a pretty big win. And I think that was away too. Yeah, I'm sorry, it was at home against Leicester City.
Mm-hmm.
But they've drawn Brentford, they've drawn Newcastle, and they beat Nottingham, and they drew Wolverhampton. So a lot of like 5 straight really quality results where they're putting it together. They're playing a little bit more defensively, a style that maybe suits their player composition a bit more than what they were kind of trying to go for before. But yeah, I definitely am a little surprised at where these odds are at. And for me personally, it's like, Fulham has been involved in a lot of games with a lot of goals lately, whereas Bournemouth has kind of tightened it up. So it'll be kind of like a two kind of styles that don't necessarily meet up. So I'd be a little bit interested in the under in this one. But overall, I think it's wild that Bournemouth are, what did we say, plus, they are
To win plus 320.
plus 320. That's crazy money. If you actually take that, they are playing away, so I mean, take that into consideration. But I just like them, and this hit actually as a part of our parlay last week. I took Bournemouth double chance, and that was at home against Leicester City. I'm taking them away double chance this week. You're going to get, what did I say, minus 110 odds for a winner, a draw here, and I just think that they can get it. They can at least pull a point out, just given the way that they've been playing recently.
Yeah, I agree with that. Bournemouth are, they're playing better under the new manager. It's kind of like in the first half, it's like a play not to lose. I went through the numbers. They haven't scored in the first half. I mean, probably further than the last 5 matches, but they have at least a point in their last 5 matches, but they haven't scored in the first half in any of those. They have two come from behind wins. They came back from Leicester City. Uh, they were down 1 goal. They went up 2-1 in the second half. They were down 2-0 against Nottingham Forest. Came back 3-2 in that one. And my bet is kind of leaning towards that. And I forgot what else I was going to mention here, but so my corners bet is weird. It's a weird one.
Yes, back to the corners bets.
I kind of buried the lead here with our corners
Yeah,
bets.
totally.
We were 3-0 on our corners bets last week. We are now Corners and Wagers. We changed our name. No matter what the top of the graphic says, Corners and Wagers is the show. Though I think this may be our only corners bet on the show. So, what are you gonna do? But so I got minus 0.75, minus 3/4 corners in the first half for Fulham, and this basically means if Fulham have one more corner than Bournemouth, you win half your money. If they have more than two corners, you win the bet. So somewhat confusing, a bet that you don't really see in any other sport. But I was looking at the corners odds, and all the odds were like minus 140, minus 135, minus 150, that kind of thing. So this is kind of what I found that made the most sense. And I went back and I looked at, so just in the first half, these Bournemouth matches, in their last 4 matches, I'm not even including the Leicester match because Leicester suck, but so the Wolves match, Wolves had 2 corners in the first half, Bournemouth had 0. Nottingham Forest, 3 corners, Bournemouth 2. Newcastle, 4 corners, Bournemouth 0. Brentford, 6 corners, Bournemouth 2. So that's 4 pretty good results. Fulham at home. The stat that I forgot to mention earlier, Fulham are actually pretty good at home. They had the opening 2-2 draw against Liverpool. They beat Brentford, beat Brighton. I'll ignore the Newcastle result because they had a weird back line. They have weird injuries, and there's still an issue right now with Kenny Tete in the back. But they moved. Who did they move? Bobby De Cordova-Reid back there in the last game, and I think that maybe helped for the most part outside of plugging in Kurzawa, whoever the previous game. So I like Fulham to get the corner result here. If you want to go further, Fulham over 6.5 or something like that. Fulham race to 7 corners, something like that. But I'll just take the route of how Bournemouth have been playing, in which the other team kind of outplays Bournemouth in the first half, and then they mix things up in the second half. So we'll just go with this first half one minus 125 on it. Did you understand what I just said, Chris?
Yeah, so Fulham got to get 2 more corners than Bournemouth.
Yep, to win. And then otherwise, if it's 1, you get half your money. So
this is like those Barcelona financial levers. You're hitting one just to get half your money back, and then hitting another just to get all your money, or to double up, basically close to double up.
Luckily, the sports book will figure out how much money
Yeah,
you win if it is half. So
they'll do the money for you. Yeah, interesting. I mean, you got creative on this bet, and maybe that's what was required for this specific game. But yeah, you mentioned that Fulham's been pretty solid at home. I mean, they've won two out of a possible 4 matches at home. They drew the one against Liverpool to begin the season, and then I can't remember who their loss was against, but
it was against Newcastle a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, 2 weeks ago. Okay, but yeah, so it'll be interesting too. I can't. It's tougher. And is Alexander Mitrovic going to play? Didn't he miss last week?
Yeah, I think he's back in training, so I think he'll be in. We'll see, but
Okay.
that's the thought.
Yeah, I mean that his should he miss? I mean, it certainly makes you feel a little bit better about Bournemouth, but just given that he's kind of a key piece for them. But yeah,
Mhm.
interesting bet here. Very creative.
Very creative. Next game, Manchester United are home against Newcastle. We got Manchester United are minus 105 to win. Newcastle are plus 270, plus 265. And then the draw plus 275, over 2.5 goals, minus 145, under 2.5 goals, plus 120. So we got Manchester United. I'm going to pull up their current match right now. They are home against Ammonia Nicosia in Europa League. And what I said to Chris before the show is they didn't really rotate very much. They pretty much have the same starting 11 as they just had, outside of, like, they got Fred in the midfield instead of McTominay. Malacia is back at left back for Luke Shaw. Otherwise, basically the same starting 11. They didn't rotate much. I guess there's a chance for this one we could see Varane back in the starting 11 if healthy. He was on the bench last match. He may come on today. But do you think these all these matches without rotating is going to affect Manchester United at all?
I think it kind of has to a little bit. You play so many games in a row. They're playing at this point. This will be what, their third match in 7 days. So yeah, I'm sure they'll see a bit more rotation, or maybe guys coming off at like 55 minutes, 65 minutes. Um, but yeah, interesting. I mean, it's 0-0 right now. 30 about close to 30 minutes in, but this will be Manchester United hasn't. I mean, of the, let's see, they've played how many matches this season? I think it hasn't been too many. They've played eight
Nine,
matches and
eight.
eight matches, and only three have been at home. So they've been able to despite only playing three matches at home, they've been able to get some points. They sit, was it fifth in the table here, sitting at 15 points. So they've been on the road a lot. Will probably be good that they don't have to travel, Thursday here to wherever. I don't even know where this club is located. But so they'll be able to play, is it 2 games at home back to back? So I have to believe that certainly helps them. In other terms, though, I'm interested because they're minus 105, to win at home, where they've actually been pretty good. I think they have the one loss, and that was that 6-3 against Manchester City 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So they've done pretty well. Now the two other matches, they beat Liverpool, and then I forgot what the third match was, but they've been pretty good. Yeah, I'll be interested to see if Ronaldo comes in, and I mean, he came. Was it Martial got hurt against Everton last week? So Ronaldo comes in and scored late in the first half. So
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see if he sticks around here too. But I actually like them to win this game. You're getting the minus 105 odds. Newcastle on the road. It's just kind of intriguing to me. I guess Manchester United has dominated them over the last probably five games here. 1-1 last season, 4-1 in the beginning part of last season prior to that, then 3-1, 4-1, 4-1. So they've really taken it to Newcastle. Yes, Newcastle has reinforcements. They got a new coach. They're playing a lot better. But I still think that Manchester United are able to pull away here, especially playing at home.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult on Manchester United. They've just been kind of, I don't know, just weird, maybe not even weird results, just trying to figure out like what Eric Ten Hag brings. And they had the start where they're losing to Brighton 4-0, Brentford 4-0. You have all that in there, and they have figured things out to an extent, but I'm still kind of, I say all this, and I think Manchester United are one of our best teams to bet on in the early season. I think I'm 4-0 and you're 2-1 on Manchester United bets. So even
Yeah.
though I say this, it seems like we're reading them somewhat correctly, for the most part. But yeah, like they have at home, like they have those back to back, maybe not back to back, but the Liverpool and Arsenal wins at home, and then pretty much in Europa League, they're home against Sociedad a little after that with a bunch of the regulars, and they lost that 1-0, and
Yeah.
like they didn't really rotate in that one. So I mean, maybe it's Europa League, and maybe feelings are a little different. You're a little uncomfortable against a different team. I don't know, maybe, but we'll see. Newcastle have kind of turned it on a little bit. It kind of goes against what my bet is, but they scored 9 goals in the last 2 matches. It's not going to happen in this one, but Chris, you are, as you said, you're on Manchester United. I'm going under 2.5 goals at plus 120. I just think that this is, I just think it's going to be a battle, I guess. This was a hard one to come up with a bet, I think. Chris going Manchester United money line at minus 105. Kind of hard to come up with something here. Newcastle has these games where they're high scoring and they're pressuring a lot, but I think they're kind of weaker on the road. away from home at Manchester United, but I still think like their defense is good enough to prevent Manchester United from, scoring the 3 goals, scoring a lot of goals. So I think I almost went with like a 1-1 exact scoreline result. I think that's like plus 650, but I couldn't do it. So I'm just going under 2.5 instead and hoping something to where like, Ronaldo or Manchester United don't figure things out, get multiple goals, and then it's like Newcastle get one back from Callum Wilson in like the 60th minute or whatever, something like that. So
Yeah, that makes sense. I just like go back to the historical data here. That's like shows Manchester United like basically dominating Newcastle over the past 10 years or so. So especially in the past 5 matches, it's been pretty lopsided too. And just playing at home in the Premier League, you're always gonna have a much better odds of actually pulling points out of it.
you say that, but I don't know. You only got the one match with Eddie Howe, and his 1-1 last season. So
This is fair. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I just think just given their United's 2 losses this season are Manchester City and who was the other one?
well, no, they have a few because early in the season,
Oh yeah,
Brentford
early in
and
the season.
Brighton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. But recently, since they've started to kind of basically since that loss, that 4-0 loss to Brentford at Old Trafford, they've dropped the Real Sociedad game in the Europa League and then Manchester City.
hmm
So a little stiffer, maybe not Sociedad, but Manchester City. That no surprise on that one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's like my under bet. I'm almost trying to like. I took under. I think I took under 3.5 or under 2.5 in Newcastle at Manchester City, or maybe it was Newcastle home against Manchester City, and that one ended 3-3. And it seems like the more we talk about it, there's a chance this one goes to like 3-3 kind of a thing. If like Newcastle, takes this match the same way they took that Manchester City one. This is away from home, so maybe it's not like that. So I'm kind of leaning on Newcastle being a little more defensive than they play at home. So we'll see on that. But
I think the style of play is just going to be way different than what a City is against Newcastle.
right,
Than what
yeah, that's kind
United
of why
is,
I'm leaning under here. But like you look at these Manchester United games too, but they've all hit the over too. So
Yeah, that's
I guess
true.
maybe Varane, if Varane's back in there over Lindelof, that also obviously would help too. So
But that game, Newcastle was really able to hit City on the counter rather than this. They might actually have a couple. They might actually get a little bit of possession.
mhm. All right, so the match that everyone cares about, the only match that people care about, we have to talk about it. We got Liverpool. They're home against Manchester City. Chris, when was the last time Liverpool were this big of an underdog at home? Can't remember.
It's been, I mean, man,
Years.
probably been like a good 5 years
Right. So we got
since.
Liverpool plus 300 to win at home. This was plus, so October 2nd, about 10 days ago, they were plus 175. So apparently, whatever's happened in the past 10 days, we have injuries. TAA probably going to be out. Luis Diaz is going to be out. But, TAA is not the best defensive fullback. Luis Diaz, like they have backups up front as well. So it's kind of interesting that Liverpool went from 175 to 300. But then you got Manchester City to win. You can find that minus 120 at DraftKings. The draw is plus 320. And as expected, we have to go to over 3.5 goals at plus 115. Under 3.5 is minus 140. So, Chris, this is your squad. How big of a factor do you think these injuries play into it? Like we saw, like Konate's back. He started midweek, so he's good to go. We'll either get Joe Gomez or Milner playing right back for TAA. Otherwise, I don't think there's too many changes here. So, what do you got?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, no Trent Alexander-Arnold, which is, I don't know, depends how you feel about him recently, but he's been pretty inept defensively, specifically on a couple of goals against Arsenal. So, not that I mean, I hope to high heaven here that it's not James Milner at right back because I think City kind of just tear him up if that's the case. but I don't feel particularly confident in Joe Gomez either. But yeah, I mean, after losing to that match against Arsenal on Sunday, it was 3-2. Honestly, pretty dubious 3-2. Haven't watched all of it. There was the penalty that wasn't called on. I think was it Gabriel or Saliba. Um, Clearly hit his hand. I don't know, but they didn't call that, and then they go to VAR for the third goal there for Saka, where he kind of just like fell over. But all that aside, they bounced back in the midweek, and then Man City, I think they struggled midweek, didn't they?
Yes. Well, they got a red card. Sergio Gomez
Oh
was
yeah,
sent off like 30th minute
yeah,
or something.
yeah. All that aside, I mean, giving it a little more context, Man City's pretty much dominated. They're still slightly behind Arsenal in the standings, but that's more or less because Arsenal's played so well. They have yet to lose a game in the Premier League this season. So, that being said, it's just kind of wild to see that they're going into Anfield, a place where they, traditionally haven't been able to get a result, and they're favored by like such a pretty large margin there, especially seeing Liverpool at 320. Just the way Liverpool's played, I don't really expect them to get a win out of this, but I don't think a draw is too far out of the realm of possibilities. And then just given that, you can find the double chance at plus 100. And even going back to some more of the data here, it's like Liverpool's unbeaten against Man City in their past 4 matches. I mean, one of that was the Community Shield in August. So take that for whatever you want. But then they kind of took it to them in the FA Cup in the semifinal, and then they both in the Premier League last year was 2-2. So I wouldn't don't feel great about taking a Liverpool win here, but I still think it won't be as easy as maybe we thought it would be. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. You can get Erling Haaland anytime goal scoring odds at plus or at minus 165, which is what I feel like is going to be the lowest we'll see them at for a little bit, or I guess the most favorable. Not, and then the other one is that Mo Salah, who had a hat trick in its 6.5 minutes earlier this week, plus 200 on the anytime goal scoring odds. So a couple things to keep an eye on.
Can't say I disagree with you. Like the more you look into these prior matchups between these teams, and I mean even when you throw in just like the 2 seasons ago when Liverpool had all the injury issues, like Liverpool still battled in this matchup. They did lose. I guess I say that, and they did lose almost
It was 4-1, wasn't
4-1. Yeah, that 4-1 result.
Yeah.
So sure, I mean that's there, but I mean you look at that team and
They started.
I mean who
They
was
started
playing
Jordan
that game?
Henderson and Wijnaldum and Fabinho at center back. So
Right. So I mean you can't really like this isn't the same situation. Like Van Dijk is still here, Konate is healthy again. So it's not like that many injuries for Liverpool that the entire back line's completely new. And then we're trying to find like the actual last home loss for Liverpool, and it's been a long time. So it makes sense. Liverpool double chance, and I just think the rest of the season is kind of going to be like people are just going to be betting Holland. They're going to be betting Manchester City to win big, and it makes sense because they're winning all these games by huge margins. But as we just saw with Copenhagen, like they aren't invincible. They can drop points. We saw them 1-1 at Aston Villa already this season. We saw the 3-3 result against Newcastle. Like they do have problems in the back. Kyle Walker isn't there. We could see Sergio Gomez, who got the red card midweek. He could start, or it could be whoever. It could be Ake, it could be Akanji at fullback. So they do have that issue. So I agree with you. As for my bet, I just think there's going to be goals. We already mentioned the defensive injuries. Both these teams can score. These teams are. I think we had it last season where it was like, why don't we just bet over 3.5 goals in all of these matches?
Yeah.
So we could take that again. It's plus 115. Those odds I feel like last season were a little higher, but now with the Holland bump, it's at plus 115. So I'm just going both teams to score, no draw. I think either side could win this one, though I'm probably leaning Manchester City just because they're probably the better overall team right now. But
totally.
in case Liverpool win, let's just do no draw plus 100. And Yeah, I mean, there's going to be goals. This is not going to be a 0-0, 1-0 result. There's going to be goals. I'm just hoping it's not a draw. So there you go.
Yeah, it's. I feel like what it's been in the last few matches, last 5 matches, there's been 4 or 5 goals in all 5 matches. With 4-1, 2-2, 2-2, 3-2, 3-1. So yeah, hit that over 3.5 at +115 if you're feeling confident.
Yeah, I'd even go. Why not just go over 4.5? I guess. I mean, you're getting like a 3-2, 4-2 result. We just saw Man City the 6-3. Both these games can score three. I think there's no question. Liverpool just scored seven. I think six in the second half, maybe at Rangers.
Yeah, it
But
was. Yeah,
why not just go heavy with it? Go over 4.5 at +255, over five
yeah.
and a half +550. I'd rather do
That's
that than over 3.5. That's just boring, right? You think there's,
dude.
if you
Depends
think
what's
there's going to
boring
be
to you,
exactly
really.
4 goals, take over 3.5. If you want some excitement in your life, 4.5, 5.5, go with it. There you go. That's my tip of the day.
There we go. We needed it.
All right, so we have our parlay up next, and we hit last week, which we just mentioned, but we're now up $96. That's right, $96 on our parlay. We're 3-6 on the season, so on $100 bets, if you put $100 on all of our parlays, that's 9 of them. We're only 3-6, but we're still up $96 because all of these bets are over +200 odds. So this week we had a few options that we liked. As usual, I will mention, we picked these 3 matches usually are at random. They're not like our favorite matches that we have favorite bets in or anything like that. Like obviously we're going to talk Liverpool, Man City. We threw Fulham, Bournemouth in there. Manchester United, Newcastle look interesting. So we talked about them. And I mean, if we wanted to put our best bets in one, I probably would have talked this Leicester City Crystal Palace match. And I'm going over 2.5 goals. It's -120. And you look at this game, we have a question with Johnny Evans, one of the only, maybe not one of the only players who's gone a full 90 in every match for Leicester this city. A back line that's been terrible this season. They just gave up 2 goals at Bournemouth in the second half. Some people will be like, hey, they won 4-0 against Nottingham Forest last home match, but they escaped. They should have been down 1 goal. Nottingham Forest was offside by like a foot to open that game 1-0. But I think Leicester's back line is not very good, and I think Crystal Palace are going to score. On the other side of that, I think Leicester City always seem to score at least once in their games, especially at home. So pretty simple. Over 2.5 goals, you can get that -120. Chris, I did not. Did I update that?
I don't think you updated the odds from last week. This was my bet last week,
This was
but
your bet last week, so all right.
yeah,
Yeah, you speak. I'll update it real quick here.
you speak. Okay. Uh, yeah. Well, Adam updates my odds there for those watching on YouTube. Got into a couple here that I really liked, but I wanted to do the Friday bet. We're not talking about Friday, but there was one, and it was the over for Brentford Brighton, that over 2.5. So if you're watching on Thursday here, that was one I had as a strong consideration. Adam steered me off of it, but I'm actually going to go back to a game. I feel like we've talked about Aston Villa quite a bit, Chelsea sometimes, but we talked about Villa a lot, and honestly, I have a pretty tough time betting them. But just the way that they're playing recently, they are like sitting back. I think there was an article in the Athletic this week that tried to compare Steven Gerrard's players, basically like always a bit more of an open player and versus how he manages a team. Rangers, he was super defensive. Here at Villa now, he's super defensive as well, and that's kind of showed up in the results too. So I'm going with the under 2.5 goals here at -115. Aston Villa is at home, so Chelsea coming off another match in the Champions League and just a ton of matches overall. I expect Villa to kind of sit back and if this is like a 1-0 win for Chelsea or a 1-1 result, then I wouldn't be surprised at all. And that's hence why I'm going to go Aston Villa, Chelsea under 2.5 goals. It's at -115. You pair that with Adam's bet, and you get +242 odds here as we ensure that our parlay is always over +200.
Yeah, I agree with this one. there's a chance I actually wrote about it. I can't remember. I haven't posted that article yet, but that article for my betting article, I'll try and get it up Thursday here. It might have this bet in there, so we'll see. Uh, Great minds think alike, but I agree. What you said about Villa playing defensive and all that, and you got Chelsea here. Uh, they've been rotating a bit here under Graham Potter. They're changing formations between matches in Champions League and Premier League. Like Pulisic started last league match, they rotated a bit. Like we might not see Reece James. I guess Azpilicueta, I believe, started at right back for Chelsea last match. So you got all that in there. Obviously less attacking than Reece James is, but yeah, I like the under. So a couple over/under bets here for the parlay. I like this one. I like this one a lot. I think we could hit three straight here.
Yeah, let's do it too.
Let's do it. All right, so that's what we got. That's what we got, Chris, for game week 11. Any other thoughts on these matches before we go? I like. I think a lot of people will look at the odds on Wolves and see the record and where they're at in the bottom of the table, and they'll be like, I can't. They're not going to win this one. Let's go with Nottingham Forest. Then again, I guess Nottingham Forest are probably worse. So I do like the money line there on Wolverhampton. I think they're going to get a win. Ruben Neves is back from suspension. They're going to find a goal somewhere. Probably not
Yeah,
Diego Costa, but it's going to come from somewhere. I think they're going to win this one. Uh,
yeah.
I
Outs-
I like Arsenal too, and some goals in that Leeds match. But you got any thoughts here?
Yeah, outside of this Liverpool, I mean, key marquee matchups really that Liverpool Man City game, at least for the average viewer. But Leeds Arsenal is going to be entertaining, just given the two styles of the teams. And then we got like a little bottom three relegation scrap. I feel like between Fulham and Bournemouth. And then yeah, I mean, I love that Friday match. I feel like that's going to be interesting to watch. So a lot of good games. Last weekend I was kind of feeling like, oh man, some of these are going to be a bit of a grind to watch. But I'm looking forward to most of these here to view here this weekend.
Yeah, it should be a good weekend, and of course, we have. What do we have? What am I trying to
MLS
say?
playoffs? Is MLS
We got
playoffs?
MLS playoffs, yes. Yeah, I'm wearing my Sporting Kansas City sweater here, and they're not in the playoffs. But I was gonna say we have Premier League next week, Tuesday, I believe. Monday is off,
Oh,
and then
nice.
there's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday matches. So we got all that. I did put a preview up if I can find it somewhere. I can't. Oh, here we go. Of this Brighton Brentford match. So if you want to check that out, it's on the site. I just did a little short write up for Friday's match between Brentford and Brighton. So there you go. If you want some bets, there is a tasty. I'll give a sneak peek. I got Brentford. I think it's plus 390. Brentford money line up to the 30th minute. So I think Brentford are going to
Whoa.
score early, and you can get a money line first 30 minutes. As long as they're winning at that 30-minute mark, you win a plus 390 bet right there. So I like that one a
Did
lot.
did you take the over 2.5?
I did.
That's
I
the one
did.
that I wanted. Okay, nice.
Now that we're spoiling the article, but still
Okay.
click on it. Click on it. Click on the article.
There's more in there, I promise you.
All right, Chris. Thanks for joining me, and I'll scroll through the bets here before we go. You can find Chris at CHROwen8 on Twitter. I am at RotoZdroik. Team parlay before we go. Leicester City, Crystal Palace over 2.5 goals combined with Aston Villa, Chelsea under 2.5 goals plus 242 odds. That's going to be three straight parlay hits. Chris,
Let's
enjoy
go.
your weekend. Let's enjoy this Liverpool Manchester City game. It should be fun. There's going to be goals. We know there's going to be goals, but we'll see who wins
Absolutely.
though.
Thanks, Adam. Have a good weekend.